Tindall Sports Central will be going over our next team projection of this offseason, and it's going to be over the NC State Wolfpack, a team that went 8-4 overall in the 2020 season. This team was certainly one of the better teams, I'd say, in the ACC last year, finishing out as one of the top teams in their division. But how is this team going to be in 2021 is what we're going over here today. We're also going over a few players that this one will be losing, who they're returning, and also looking at their schedule for the first time this offseason, starting out with the previous 6 games for NC State. Once again, this team was 8-4 overall. Overall, this team was pretty good, though. I mean, they were ranked for a couple of weeks throughout the season there. They did lose to Miami 41-44. That was a brutal loss there, obviously with it being very close. They did beat Florida State 30-22, beat Liberty 15-14. That was a scary game there. They did beat Syracuse 36-29, beat Georgia Tech 23-13, and that was before losing to Kentucky in their bowl game 21-23. So even though this team had a lot of close games, like, this team definitely had a lot of talent last season, and this team was definitely capable of being in a good bowl game. But otherwise, looking at your trends over the course of the season, first 6 games you were 4-2. Same thing with the last 6 games, you were also 4-2. So this team was very consistent with how they were over the course of last season. Looking at your roster preview going into the next season, though, and this is your also your returning production going into next season, Bailey Hawkman is transferring away from NC State, so he will no longer be with the program. Last season, he was a primary starting quarterback for NC State. He kind of came out of nowhere. Not many people expected him to be the starting quarterback going into the season, but he did put up just over 2,000 yards as well as 13 touchdowns and 11 interceptions last season. Also, a 64% completion rate, so overall is a good season for Hawkman. As for the other quarterbacks on this team, they do lose their other quarterback, Devin Leary. Many people, including myself, thought that he was going to be the primary quarterback of this season, but he did put up nearly 900 yards, 8 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions, along with a 60% completion rate. So overall, he didn't have quite as good of stats as Billy Hawkman did, but overall, both quarterbacks definitely had a big impact on this team. Ben Finley will be more than likely the starting quarterback going into next season, as he's the only other quarterback that's got experience on this team. He didn't really put up any stats last year, but Ben Finley, I do expect to probably be in the running, if not the starting quarterback for NC State going to next year. As for the running back core, this team's got a couple of great running backs coming back. They got Zonovan Knight coming back. Last season, he put up just over 900 total yards of offense, 10 touchdowns. I mean, those are some pretty impressive stats, for a season like it was in 2020. You also return your second running back in Ricky Person Jr. He's coming back. He put up just over 770 yards, 4 touchdowns as well in the 2020 season. So both running backs combined for over 1,700 yards last season overall. So both running backs are certainly going to have huge impacts on this team next season. NC State could easily have one of the best rushing cores in the country next year. You return your top wide receiver, Emeka Emezi. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. Last season, he put up just over 740 yards, 5 touchdowns as well. As for the rest of your receiver core, you do return your wide receiver 2, Thayer Thomas. He's coming back. That's going to be huge for this team. Same thing with Devin Carter. Both of them are coming back, and both of them combined for just right around 1,000 yards last season and 8 touchdowns. So receiving core looks really good as well. This team in general has got great skill players, but the only question is, how's this quarterback position going to be going to next season? Because obviously, if you don't have a good quarterback, if you don't have a reliable quarterback, that's going to be very tough to be able to make a run, especially when you don't have as good of a quarterback. But anyway, otherwise, this team looks pretty good, I'd say, on the offensive side. You do lose 2 offensive linemen there, only 1 defensive lineman on the defensive side. This defense is going to be extremely improved going into next season, only losing 1 there on the defensive line. So this team has got a ton of potential, I think, going into next season. They've got a huge amount of upside. They return a ton on the offensive side. And really, if you look at both sides of the ball, the only question mark for me that I see with this NC State team is in the quarterback position. If this team does not have a good quarterback and a reliable quarterback, this team could easily not be a very good team next season. But Ben Finley, or whichever quarterback is starting for this team next season, they've got some pretty big shoes to fill, considering they've got a ton of talent. But otherwise, yeah, skill players and everything on the offensive side looks great. Chances of improvement in 2021, you did go 8-4 last season, which is not a terrible record considering the circumstances. And overall for NC State, I think this is a team that certainly could get 9 wins this upcoming season. That's definitely possible in my eyes for NC State. This team does have potential, and really, I do think there's going to be some improvement next season for the Wolfpack here. But is NC State a dark horse? Is what I should say there. I think NC State definitely is a team that is very overlooked right now. Not a lot of people are talking about NC State going into next season as of now, but that's definitely a team that I think I mean, I don't see them getting past Clemson, but that team is definitely going to be up there with one of the best teams in the conference. Like, they'll definitely be, I'd say, top 4 in the conference next season. But otherwise, looking at your schedule going into next season, you start off the year with a game against South Florida. You got Mississippi State on the road, SEC matchup there, on the road there. Then you got Furman coming to town. You got Clemson to start off your conference schedule. You got Louisiana Tech. Then after that, Boston College, Miami, Louisville. Then in your November, you got Florida State and Wake Forest on the road, followed by Syracuse in North Carolina. So this team has got a lot I mean, the schedule isn't terrible, I wouldn't say. I mean, you do have to play Clemson, of course, at home, but otherwise, I mean, this team does have a pretty favorable schedule going to next season. I think this team has got a lot of potential because of that. But if you look at the first half here, I say South Florida is a win. South Florida is not going to be a very good team next season, so I do expect that to be more of an easy win for NC State. Mississippi State's going to be a close one there. I probably would favor NC State right now, but I'm going to keep it as a 20 to 80% game there just because of it being on the road and against an SEC opponent. Furman's going to be a win. Clemson, I'm not going to put that as a guaranteed Clemson win right now just because of the amount of talent in general that Clemson's losing, but I will say it's going to be a close game for now. Louisiana Tech will be a win. Boston College will be a close one as well. So overall, I'd say you should have 4 to 5 wins by the time you hit the halfway point of your season, which is a pretty good position to be in, especially if you want to have some improvement going into next year. But I do think that NC State will at least take 1 loss in those first 6 games. It's most likely going to come to Clemson, but otherwise this team is looking pretty good in the first half of the season. As for the second half, it's going to be a little bit tougher. You got Miami on the road. Louisville's going to be a good team. Florida State could have some improvement. So all 3 of those games are going to be pretty close ones. Wake Forest is going to be a win. Syracuse is going to be a win. So you got 5 guaranteed wins on your schedule going to next season. North Carolina is going to be a brutal game. That's a team that I definitely think will be very good next season. Sam Howell, North Carolina is looking like a great team next season. As for the ceiling, though, for NC State going to next year, I'd say it's going to be 10-2. I mean, this team is going to take 2 wins no matter what, I do think, over the course of next season, if they like it or not. I think Clemson's definitely going to be a potential loss there. North Carolina, Miami, Louisville, etc. All of those games are definitely possible losses as well. But your projection for next season is going to be 8-4, and I consider putting that as a 9-3 projection. But just for now, I'm going to keep it at 8-4, but you could possibly put that between 8-4 and 9-3. This team I definitely think will be just as good, if not better, next season as they were in 2020. But the floor being the worst that you will possibly be is going to be 6-6. So I've got you going to a bowl game no matter what. You guys are safe from missing a bowl game, so I think that's a big plus for NC State going to next season. But overall schedule sets up pretty well. I'd say you get 5 guaranteed wins there, as highlighted by the green ones. And otherwise, once again, our projection is 8-4. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, though, on NC State. If you enjoyed this preview, slap a like on it, subscribe as well, as it really helps out the channel. I'd really appreciate that. But once again, stay tuned for more from All Sports Central. I'll see you guys all later.